Dream big, they say. Manifest, the secret, the law of attraction. We talk about all of these things. And one thing I've recently realized is that sometimes desire can actually show that you're not grateful for things. Because if you're desiring said outcome without the action, you're showing an extreme lack of gratitude for your current circumstances. The reason why is because you're thinking about these things. You're constantly thinking, I need this, I want this, and you're trying to attach to these different things when really all that's screaming is, I lack. It screams that I lack this. I want this means I don't have this within me. And if you don't have it within you, there's not a level of gratitude for where you're currently at. What's the process? It's really all about you. I desire, I desire, I desire. Sometimes we have to take a step back and realize that desire without action shows a lack of gratitude. So the way to sort of counteract this is, not looking for solutions outside of yourself. Whether it be turning to people or places or things and substances, you're looking for external solutions outside of yourself. And a lot of the times, they're only going to be illusions. When you think about smoking, when you think about drinking, that version of you that you're thinking is amplifying you as a person is just an illusion because it's not really you. You're dependent on this for a feeling outside of yourself. So the shortcut to it is taking immediate action in the now because you only have the present. The future and the past do not exist. There are continuums in our mind that we put ourselves in when you're thinking about desiring, the desire, that idea. But if you're not putting in the action, you're just showing that you're extremely ungrateful for your current circumstances. Enjoy the now. Understand that now is the only thing that you can control and take that into your own hands. Rather than thinking, I'm depressed because I'm thinking about my past, or I am so anxious because I'm thinking about what can potentially happen in the future. Think about the now. What's the immediate step that you can take? And what is the next step that you can follow? You're not going to see step 100 straight away. You have to take the first step. How do you get somewhere? The first thing you do is you locate where you're trying to get to. Okay. Now you can begin to put the postcode into the map. You can't get somewhere without knowing where you're going. If you aim for nothing, you'll hit it absolutely every single time. Aim for nothing, you'll hit it every time. So don't look for these external things outside of you. Understand that sometimes you need to strip it back, breathe, and just focus on the now. Focus on the controllables, control the variables, and then you can begin to orchestrate greatness. Because then you're very present, you're very receptive to opportunities. This desire and this fear and anxiety, these are very low frequency activities. You want to be in joy. You want to be able to detach. You want to be able to accept. Acceptance is something that's a high frequency. If you're going through challenge and adversity and you're going through different situations, accept that that situation is the way it is. Accept it. Okay? The desire for a situation to immediately go or the fear is going to keep you trapped in that cycle because it's very low vibrational. But when you accept it, even if the situation is negative and you enact something, even if it's the immediate next step to try and better that situation, now you're going to improve the way you feel because you've accepted it. There's a certain level of, releasing from said outcome because you realize that that said outcome is something that's in the future that is outside of your control. So you accept it, and that brings you closer to the present. So how you can see it, and I was just thinking about this now in my mind as it's coming to me because it's quite abstract, is you've almost got like a timeline or you've got a spectrum. And a lot of the time when you have high levels of anxiety or you have feelings of depression, your spectrum is wide. The more you can close it and come closer to center, the more you're balanced. And when you're balanced, you're closer to present. And when you're closer to present, you're closer to immediate action. And when you're closer to immediate action, even though it may be imperfect, you're closer to acting in accordance with what your conscious is telling you. And when you act in accordance to what your conscious is telling you, you're becoming closer to being aligned. So all this is unalignment on different sides of the spectrum. One side of you is pulling you far into the past, and one side's pulling you far into the future. All you need to do is focus on the now and the controllables and the present. And that's going to give you a level of solace when you have this level of acceptance around your problems that is going to give you ease. You know, there's been times in my life where I'm whether it be, you know, worrying about deadlines or thinking about closing a client and doing this and that. And that's taken me into a frequency of desiring something and not just being appreciative for what I already have, because I can only live in the now. And gratitude is one of the biggest keys to unlocking a certain level of abundance, because then you start to act in accordance with already having. And the craziest thing is, you do already have it. You already have all of the tools and you know it. For you to even be watching this video and to get this far, there's a certain level of alignment and there's a certain congruency with you as a person that draws you to these messages. If you were somebody that was surface level, you wouldn't have even made it this far into the video. Think about that. Think about how your mind works and you're able to receive information for you to listen to somebody with no edits, no fancy cuts on the screen, and take in that information because you know that this is guiding you towards more. So I honestly implore you, certain times, try and be as present as possible. That's one thing. Try to accept the good and the bad as much as possible. Because when you can accept, you can begin to detach, but not negatively detach, but just detach from the past and outcomes. Because you've got one of those minds where you can come up with 50 different conclusions. And the clever thing about the 50 different conclusions is you're so creative that 99% of the time none of them happen. Do you know what type of brain you have to be able to think of 99 or, you know, hundreds of different potential outcomes to a situation, and 99% of the time none of them happen? Which means you're spending most of your time almost being unconscious. You're spending most of your time showing a lack of gratitude for the things that you do have now. And that level of consistency, if you can show that level of consistency for thinking about negative outcomes to just thinking about the now and appreciating the controllables and accepting, you're gonna raise your level of vibration and your level of frequency and attract more things in alignment to you. I would say it's simple, not necessarily easy, but it's simple. It's not that complicated. A lot of people like to come and overcomplicate things. Some people, maybe they perceive information better when there's loads of editing and things like that. But if you're somebody that can appreciate the raw message and you can understand that you're being called to more, but you need to become that version that can accept it, and you need to be more present, because when you're present, you're more receptive to things. You're more able to, you know, seize opportunities, even if it's like in a conversation. You know, when you're having a conversation with someone and you've just had an argument with maybe, you know, someone in your family or a significant other or partner before. You're having a conversation and you can't even fully engage in that conversation because you have moments of the past toiling and gnawing on your brain. The person that's telling you something, they may have an opportunity that you would have been receptive to, or they may have been saying something that may be beneficial to someone else that could spark an introduction, but you're not present. So you're not in tune and you don't have that level of intuition to what's going on. You're gonna miss things. Now, that was just on a small level, a conversation with someone in passing. But when you expand outwards and that's consistently happening to all of the stimulus around you, now you can start to realize why, you know, things, opportunities are flying by and it seems like time is almost speeding up, but you're not getting to your desired outcomes. You're not getting to where you want to be because you're not present enough. Slow it down, be receptive to opportunities, accept the things that have happened in the past, the good and the bad. Have gratitude for the now, and it will all unfold. But until you begin to do this, the punishment, or I shouldn't say punishment, but the consequences, or the the consequence of it is going to be time. You're going to pay with time. You're going to pay off that karmic debt with your time having to live the certain situations out consistently. Only way you break that cycle is accepting, letting it go. Let certain things go. You're always going to pay for with your time with things that you hold on to. Those negative emotions. When you have an argument with someone and you leave, and there's an element of despair, and you're thinking about what you could have said, or you're thinking about what you could have said, or you're thinking about what you did say. You're living so wide on that spectrum. Just bring it to the now. Accept it. Find closure from that person. Speak to them. Seek them out and say, you know what? I apologize for what I said. Or you know what? I went about that wrong. Or you know what? I concede that you were right in certain areas. Move on, because then you relieve yourself of that burden of carrying it and repaying that debt with time consistently over and over again. So yeah, man. If you like more of these videos, let me know. I'm figuring out how to close these videos. I usually just end it, but leave a thumbs up. I guess that helps. If you want to comment. If you don't. But just keep watching. If you find value, just keep watching. That's it for now.